St. George did everything right. Like they had a right. They didn't let me play. And there's players that do it now, and they don't make them sit out. They end up letting them go.
The Super League war hits, and obviously you sit out for the season.
Yep.
Walk us through the whole situation.
Well, I'm laying in bed and I get a phone call at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's my manager, Georgie Mimas, going, mate, something's broken the game. I can't tell you. I'm flying back to Sydney. Don't sign anything. And it was a game day. I'm like, that's weird. He goes, mate, hopefully I'm at the game today. Don't sign it. And then we get to the game and the club, Jeff Carr and all the ARL guys go, mate, if you don't sign this, you don't play.
Wow.
I said, Jeff, I went to grade 10. I don't know my contracts. So that's what I've got a manager for. I said, I don't know. He goes, oh, mate, well, if you don't sign it, and it's 20,000, mate, 30,000, 50, like it was pretty good money, right? So you imagine, just sign it, stay at the same club, but we give you 50,000. Some guys are signing it. I said, no. Well, by the end of the night, it was 200.
Yeah, wow.
So then myself and Nathan Brown the next morning, we didn't do anything. We drove into, it was like Phillips Road in the city. In one room there was James Packer, Phil Gould and Bob Fulton. So you'd go in there and you'd negotiate your new NRL contract. At the same club, you just sign your new contract. So then we went in and then, you know, you were hearing what some players were getting. And if you played State of Origin, it was about $450. If you're playing for Australia, it was about $650. If you're a legend, it can be from 7 up, right? So we were going in negotiating, and then we got Phil Gould, and he said, oh, mate, I don't think he's worth that. And he wasn't rude. He was just, he goes, mate, he's a bench player, but that I didn't like that. He goes, mate, he's a bench player. He goes, well, he played Origin, yeah, but Queensland got beaten. He was the New South. Of course we did, but don't have to. So it was sort of that sort of negotiation, and I didn't like it. Then I walked out. I walked into the next. I walked past, and James Packer goes, what are you doing? I said, oh, Phil Gould just called me a bench player. He goes, come in here, I'll give you 650 and come to the Roosters. And I'm thinking, well, Gus is coaching the Roosters. He doesn't. So that's how crazy. That's in one day. I've gone from playing on that to getting offered 20 to 650, and then and that's when the negotiations started.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a young kid from Townsville playing the game on a
3,000 stage, 22.
Yeah, 21. So I was on a $3,000 scholarship. End up playing first grade. I'm say 50 games in.
Wow, far out.
40 something games into my NRL career, and then this sort of broke. So you didn't really know, because on one side it was, you know, Super League, on the other side, so you just had to trust your process. So I was playing at the Dragons. We all sat there one day and we had a vote, and we were going to stay as a club and go to Adelaide.
Okay. Wow.
That would have been cool.
So what?
Adelaide,
Dragon?
yeah. So we all had a meeting in the cool room that we all put up our hand, and back in those days there was 60 in the club, and it was like about 55-3 to go that, you know, we'll all go and we'll be the St. George, because of Penfolds, we'll go play in Adelaide.
Wow. And so the players are all on board?
Yeah, well, yeah, and then it's up to you to get a contract.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool, because we were a really good young side back then with Mundine and Steve and Brownie. We had some really good kids coming through too, like as well, like Lance Thompson and the like. And so, so we had a pretty good side, and then we didn't, and then I ended up going and sitting down with Super League. And the reason why I ended up signing with Super League is because I could pick my club. And by then, the Dragons had been eaten up. So Nathan Brown, my mate, I think had signed with Cronulla. Chock had maybe gone to the Bulldogs. Jason Stevens went. So the side that I was going to stay and play with was that. And then I went to the Super League, because I could have played with any club, and a club I wanted to play for was playing in Brisbane.
Wow.
And they were named the Broncos. So then and then I sat there for about a month in a holding pattern, because Brisbane Super League didn't really want that to happen, because it looks like that they're favouring the Broncos when they weren't. I just said, well, no, you sign me. That's who I want to go play for. That's the deal. It wasn't the money. It was actually less money than the other organisation, but I had a chance to go play for Brisbane.
Wow. And so what was the catalyst for sitting out? Like, why
then I went up there and I trained. I did the whole pre-season, because the competition had kicked off, right? Yeah. So then they did all the commercials. So as far as you were concerned, that the competition was playing, there was going to be 2 competitions, the ARL and the Super League competition. So I trained with Brisbane, and then Judge Burchett, they put an injunction on it in court or whatever. So the Super League didn't go ahead, so then it all come back in together, and then it was a 20-team competition.
Okay.
That's how Perth and all those guys, I think, got into the competition. You know,
Yeah.
well, no, because then they were already in it, but they come back, and then I trained with Brisbane, and everybody filtered back to their club, and I was up in Brisbane. I'd sold my house, I had nowhere to come and live, and I thought, and they said, just wait here, we'll go and negotiate a release.
Yeah, release. Wow.
And to this day, St. George did everything right. Like they had a right. They didn't let me play, and there's players that do it now, and they don't make them sit out. They end up letting them go. I just wish that the game at some stage, and it's not for the player, but just for the game and the fans in general. If I didn't want to play for that club, I had a contract. You don't play. Just because you have a fallout with the coach or whatever, you can't just walk out. So I got punished.
Yeah, wow.
So, and then I sat out a year because I felt loyal to Brisbane, and I felt, and then that was really tough, you know. But I was going down, and the Dragons, because then I was on this money, they boost the they beefed the money up. David Waite was the coach, and it's not a regret. I would have done the same thing because I remember going back to Dad, and I was a bit upset one day, and Dragons were having this fantastic year. They played in the grand final. He said, "What did you say?" I said, if it didn't get up, I was going to sit out a year. He said, "Well, be a man of your word." So that was it. So that's why I brought you up. Don't you dare go back on your word.
Yeah.
So then after having that, like if Dad would have said, "Hey, listen, mate, you said it,"
Yeah.
but he didn't. No, you said it. Stick to it.